Pranam Harshad sir. Dubey sir, now you can start.
Okay. Good evening, friends. We are going to watch a short video of Krishnaji. And as mentioned in the communication, it's seeing the danger of conditioning. It's about half an hour. So we'll watch that, and then after that, we'll share our understanding. So just give me a minute. I'll share the screen. I hope you're able to see the screen now.
So let's talk about condition.
Yes, sir. It is. Okay.
As the gentleman pointed out just now, we went to a certain extent and we were rather driven off our course. Like that gentleman asked, I have listened to you for a number of years and there is nothing. I must tell you a lovely story about this. A pupil goes to a teacher and says, teach me what is truth. And he says, all right, stay with me. We'll talk, we'll have a conversation about the universe, about the beauty of land, and so on, so on. We'll talk, and perhaps you will see truth. So the teacher talks to him every day and goes into various things. At the end of 15 years, he says, Master, I've lived with you for 15 years, watched you, listened to you, see you how you act, do this and do that, but I haven't got truth. So I'm leaving. There's a man a few miles further away where I'm going to learn from him the truth. So this is, the teacher says, certainly. So he's away for 5 years and comes back to the original teacher. And he says, I've found it. And he says, really? Have you found it? Yes. He said, there is that river. They were standing by the banks of the river. There is that river. And I can walk across it. I found it. He said, the teacher then says, you have taken 5 years to learn this and more? Yes. And the teacher says, there's a boat, if you pay a cent or you'll cross it. Right? Got it? Most of us are like that. We pay enormous efforts to do things where it's so simple. Now let's start about the condition. We explained very carefully what is the meaning of that word. Physically, we are conditioned. You're a man, you are a woman, I'm a man. You are short, I'm tall, or brown, white, pink, or whatever it is. So that's part of our condition. Normal, healthy, natural. We are talking about psychological conditioning, which is the mind being conditioned. The mind being our feelings, our sensations, our emotions, imagination, and the intellectual concepts, the fears, the anxieties, the guilt, the hurts, and so on, is all that part of our condition, psychological, which may be called consciousness, right? We are using ordinary words. If you want me to use different sets of words, I can use it. But let's stick to the ordinary original meaning, which is the mind, which includes thought, feeling, imagination, romanticism, and the sensations. So it is limited. That is limited by the culture in which it lives, right? The country in which it lives, the tradition, the superstition, the religion, the economic condition, the social structure. Do this, don't do that, this is right, this is wrong, from the family extent, right? All that is in there are the contents of our mind, contents of our consciousness. Right? That's clear and simple. So a mind that is cultured, that is brought up in a limited sense, which is conditioning. When we use the condition, it implies limited, conditioned. It's not extensive, it's not universal, global. It's limited, conditioned, right? Now, when one's mind is so conditioned and your mind is so conditioned, there is division. Obviously, I am an Arab and you are a Jew. Both Semitic races, but divided by language, by race, by prejudice, by beliefs, by dogmas. I believe in the prophet, you believe in something else. And I'm willing to fight you, kill you, and you believe, right? That's part of our condition. Now we are asking, please just listen, don't agree or disagree, just find out. I'm asking you, or you're asking yourself, do you know your condition? Or somebody is telling you your condition. You see the difference? I wonder if you see the difference. Right? Do you see the difference? Is it your own discovery, or somebody has discovered this and tells you about it, and with which you agree? See the difference? Long before the World War, the Second World War, a very famous journalist came to see me, see the speaker. And we were talking about various things that are happening in the world. He was a very, very intelligent man, very well known. And I brought this question of conditioning. And he said, only the Indian mind can think that. You understand? See the, we were talking about conditioning of man, whether you could, etc. So immediately, he never applied it to himself, but it is the capacity of the Indian mind that goes into such subtleties. So I'm asking you whether you are being told about it and therefore you realize it, or you realize for yourself that you are conditioned. If you are told about it and agree, that has one effect, a superficial effect, a devious effect, a doubtful effect, a skeptical effect. Say, yes, you say so, but so-and-so doesn't say so. I prefer the other. Or if you yourself realize it, it is so, it is so. Doesn't matter, a million people can say nonsense. It is so. It's like being hungry. Others can say, sorry, you're not hungry, or boy, you're pretending. But if I'm hungry, I know it. You see the difference? So let's be very clear that we see the difference. Now, if you see the difference, that you yourself, by looking at the world, what's happening in the world, the culture, the tradition, the superstition, the religious nonsense, and so on, so on, so on, and you realize, I am that. Right? Wait, let me finish that. Un momento, let me finish what we're talking about conditioning, and then you can then argue or question whatever you wish. So let us be very clear that the condition is not imposed on you, persuaded by another, logically, illogically, or rationally, or merely he wants to tell you a story. That's one thing. The other is for oneself to see the danger of being conditioned. Understand? Do you see that? For yourself. Yes. Sir. Huh? All right. All right. That's what this gentleman says. Yes, you don't have to tell me. I know I'm conditioned. Yes, yes, we went into that yesterday. How can you know that you are conditioned if I am conditioned? You follow the question? He says, how do you know or aware that you are conditioned? If you don't observe it as something separate from you, then you can say, I know. But if you yourself are conditioned, how can you say I'm conditioned? You see the problem? No? No, I'll have to explain. Everything has got to be explained. Huh? You see the difficulty? If I say to myself, if I see that the entity that is speaking is conditioned, how do you know? How do I know that I'm conditioned? It's only when I look at it as something outside of myself, then I can say I'm conditioned. Am I explaining your question properly, sir? Yes. You understand? This is not being subtle, this is being simple about it. How do you know that you are in pain? somebody tell you that you're in pain? Or is pain, wait a minute, separate from you who says, I'm in pain? You follow what I'm saying? Somebody puts a pin in your leg and you are pain. Pain is through nerves and so on to the brain, and say then pain. You know pain for itself, right? Caused by a physical incident, accident, or pain of grief, and so on and so on. So you know when you are pain. So can't you know equally that this conditioning is there? Either you approach it from outer, you follow? The results of conditioning from the outer, wars, division, conflict. You're a Muslim, I'm a Hindu with Catholic Protestant. From the outer, move to the inner and say, see, logically, this sense of separation, which is the conditioning, creates pain, conflict. So then you inquire what are the reasons of this conflict. Then you discover it is because human beings are conditioned. Catholic, Protestant, Hindu, Muslim, Arab, Jew, wife, all the rest of it. So you become, there is an awareness that conditioning itself like pain is there. Right? Have I made myself clear? So let's proceed from there. Now, the next question is, that is, nobody is telling you, you know it, as you know pain. Then why not leave it alone? Why not leave this conditioning alone? There are some good conditioning, as the gentleman said yesterday. I'll keep those good conditionings and reject those unpleasant conditionings, right? Please see this. I will reject the unpleasant conditionings and reject and keep the pleasant, right? Right? That's what he said. Now, who chooses? You understand my question? Say, this I will keep, this I won't keep. Again, the entity was conditioned. So, choice is conditioning. I wonder if you see that. There we go. See, you see that, sir? Any form of psychological choice is conditioned. I will keep these and I will reject those, which is based on choice. The choice is the result either of pleasure, gratifying, or is painful, so I throw those away. We are talking of the total conditioning, not just the pleasant ones and the unpleasant ones. From that, next question is it possible, having listened to all this very carefully, understood everything in detail that we have described, then you ask, is it possible to be unconditioned? Both at the superficial level of consciousness and also at the deeper layers, deeper, at the greater depth of consciousness. That is totally. You ask this question not out of idle curiosity, but you see what conditioning has done in the world. Right? $400 billion every year spent on armament. God, do you realize what it means? I don't think you do. That is the condition. Each protecting self. Throw it away. Have you? Yes. She says, just throw it away. It is so easy as you throw a dirty handkerchief or a dirty piece of paper, just throw it away. Is it so easy? I wish it were. You mean to say a man who has been a Catholic or a woman who has been carefully baptized, brought up in Catholicism, practicing Catholicism, soaked in it, that's his conditioning. Say, just drop it over. Will you do it? So please.
Seems to go beyond that perception. I can perceive the conditioning, perceive the reality of it, yet it recurs.
No, I'm going to that. It recurs because one doesn't see the complete danger of it. It never recurs to throw yourself down a precipice. That's it. Huh? Once you see the danger of a precipice, it's finished. Right? You never say, well, I'll try again. So the question is, why don't you see totally, completely the danger of condition? The entirety, not just little bits and little bits. Because you are still in that position, keeping some which are present and putting away the others which are not. So you're playing a game with yourself. Right? So can you see for yourself? And the seeing of it is the essence of intelligence. That conditioning is a tremendous danger to man. You have very good examples. Human beings are spending $400 billion every year on armaments. And you can say, what can I do about it? Right? But you elect the politicians. If you felt the tremendous danger of condition, you act. You don't argue. Right, sir? Now, the question is, do you see the danger? If you don't, why? Look, the danger of ambition, right? The politician trying to govern the people. politely, but tremendously ambitious to come on top of the heap. There was a prime minister who spoke at a union, saying, a union of students, said, don't be ambitious. You understand? The joke of it. Because he's right on top and says, don't be ambitious. But we don't see the danger of ambition, which is to have power, which is to have position. Right? If you saw the immense danger of it, it's finished. You don't argue, you don't say, but what happens after if you have no ambition? You have no ambition because you are intelligent. Right, sir? So, we are asking, why don't you see the immense danger of being held within a small, narrow space, which is our condition? Why don't you? Does it? You must have an accident, event, disastrous event. Then you say, by Joe, I'll give it up. That means you are waiting for an external event to take place and shake you, which means give you a great deal of pain and sorrow, and you say, yes, I understand it now. Which means you are not intelligent. You are waiting for an incident to make you intelligent. But no event can make you intelligent. Got it? You understand it? So, you see, I'll go into a little further. One realizes, if you're serious, I hope you're all serious till now, one realizes that one is conditioned. And one realizes the danger of it. Logical. Then you say to yourself, how am I to give it up? How am I to break down the narrow walls which I have created, which civil culture has created, and so on, so on. How am I to break, how is the mind to break down this? Right? I don't know, so I come to you. I say, please, how am I to break this? Listen carefully. And you begin assuming that you're a great man or the guru or this or that. He says, I'll tell you what to do. That is, right? Do this, do this, do this, do this, and you will break it. Which means, again, I'm depending on the external person to tell me what to do, right? So I realized the stupidity of going to another to help me to break down the walls which I have built around myself, right? So what am I to do? Are you in that position? What am I to do to break down this wall which I have built, society has built, and society is my relationship with another? So I have built it. It is my desire, my ambition, my sensations, my will that has built this enormous, limited prison. Now, what am I to do? I realize whatever positive act I do about it is still the action of a mind, a thought, which is limited. Whatever I do. You understand? I hope you're following this. Is it time or getting tired? No, it's not. I've got another 10 minutes. So I realize it's no good depending on another. The other may be guru, the priest, or the idea that you have surrendered yourself to all that nonsense. So what am I to do? My conditioning is, please listen to it. My conditioning is to do something about it. I have been to the priest, I've been to the guru, I've been to the professor, to the analyst, which is again doing something about it. Or I say, well, no, it's too troublesome, I'll leave it alone. What the heck does it matter? Right? But if I don't, my conditioning is to act. I'm positive in that action. At least I feel I'm doing something about it, which is part of my conditioning, my culture, my tradition, my education. And here is a man comes along and tells me, don't do anything. You understand? Don't do a thing. Because he has told, I've realized that positive action is totally inaction. Whereas to be with it and not act. I know I'm conditioned, I won't act, but I will watch. You understand? Watching, alert, aware. And I see every response is from that condition. I observe, I don't do anything. So when there is non-positive action, you don't give energy to the condition. That dies by itself when you don't give it a push or suppress it or run away from it. But when you are aware of it and don't act, because that's the most, you realize non-action is intelligence. Action is unintelligent. You follow this? So if you do this, I mean, if this takes place, it's all over. That's why we talked about the other day, positive and action, which is what is happening in the world. Russia says, I must build an armament stronger than America. You follow? And every country is being supplied by them, and they're fighting, which is to take positive action to keep power, position. I'm bigger than you. Right? When I said, see all this, the stupidity of man. Right? See it and leave it alone. Then the leaving it alone is intelligence, which will act, which is unconditional.
Yes, Harshad bhai, please unmute yourself.
Yes, are you able to hear?
Yes, yes.
Thank you, Dubeji. I feel that from our birth, we are conditioned. Even before we learn the language and before we come to know that we are born in a certain country and religion, because it seems to me that we are bringing something, some karmas, some culture from previous life. And so you will find that in the same family, one person in the family may be quite different than the rest of the family. Like Krishnamurti himself, something extraordinary was there from very young age. And then this Leadbeater, the occult leader of theosophy, was able to see something that though Krishnamurti was not educated, was very dull in studies, but there was something. And then when we learn the language and we know about what is happening and we know our religion, and we don't think that it is a conditioning. Our culture, we are proud of it. And I too was proud to be an Indian and Hindu. And I used to read a lot about Hindu philosophy. And only when I left India and I was in a different culture, and even then I was not aware of this conditioning. But only after reading Krishnamurti and when he was talking about that why do we think of ourselves as Indian or Hindu or American or Chinese, and he was saying that psychologically we are all very similar. And only then I begin to really look inside myself. And then I said, yes, we are not different, though we have a different language, different religion, different culture, but psychologically, we all go through the same problems like fear, anger, jealousy, loneliness, boredom. And I saw it after reading Krishnamurti, but before that, I was not able to look at this conditioning and the danger of it. And when I saw the danger of it, or how it was separating me from people of other countries and religion, when I saw it, not intellectually, I begin to open up to people of different religion and nationalities. So I think even Krishnamurti was lucky in a way that he was meeting people of many different nationalities at a young age, because he was adopted by Annie Besant, and he had contact with people of many different religion and nationalities. So I think some exposure is required to first maybe go outside to in a different country where you are quite feeling lonely because of your culture or a language, and then you feel the pain of being separated, and then you come across a book of Krishnamurti, and then you begin to look inward, and then you see that yes, what he says is right. So now intellectually we all know that this is a danger, but to really feel it, that is, and to come out from this conditioning, that requires this what Krishnamurti calls choiceless awareness or intelligence, and that may come when we go deep within ourselves, look at every thought and feeling, and that itself requires some kind of freedom to look. So why it is so difficult to come out from all this conditioning is because there is no freedom to look at ourselves as we are. And that is why Krishnamurti says, freedom is at the beginning. How do you look? So somehow, when we begin to look inward and we see that, yes, there something is preventing us in reaching out to people of different religion, nationality. And then when this choiceless awareness, seeing things exactly as they are, not through thinking, then there is a possibility of being free from many of this conditioning which is preventing us in meeting people. So I have said enough. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Harshad bhai. Yes, Mr. Dinesh Waghmare.
Are you able to listen to me, sir?
There's some problem with your audio.
Are you now? Is it okay?
Yes, it is okay.
Is it okay?
Yes, it is.
Let us, okay. Let us go into the structure of conditioning. It is made because of insecurity, protection, then it goes into the ambition, power, etc. We can refer Maslow's hierarchy of needs if we want to. Now JK says, and I agree, technological conditioning is a must. Physical conditioning, color, aging, etc. is also natural. You itself have said that. Now, only the question of psychological conditioning is there. This is, in my views, debatable. Culture itself is a system. Say, in India, we have marriage system and family structure. If we are without it, then the relations like wife, brother, sister, etc. will not be there. Then what will be the consequences? Can you imagine that without these relations, what will be the situation?
There is a problem with your audio again.
Is it okay? Is it okay now?
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. Yes, it is okay now. Yes.
We are without it, then the relations, wife, brother, sister, etc. will not be there. Then what will be the consequences? Can we imagine what will be the situation if these are not there? Without such conditioning, man will be either machine or animal. He will not be a social animal. The features like feeling, emotions, recording sensations, etc. are given by nature. It will work on its own. If a man is brought up in a city, he will be having conditioning of city. If he is brought up in jungle, then he will be, we can say in our India, jungly. But what JK says is also valid. If the conditioning makes any mind foolish, rigid, ambitious, cruel, cunning, etc., then it is dangerous. So, in my views, the role of wisdom and awakening of intelligence is very important. And the title of this should be seeing the dangers in conditioning rather than dangers of conditioning. These are my views. What Harshad sir and others have to say on this, I would like to know. What Dubey sir has to say.
I think there is a problem with your video, Dinesh. I think there's lots of echo and it's not clear. Problem with your audio.
Is it okay now?
Yes,
Is it
it
okay?
becomes all right for some time, then again there is a, it's okay now, yes.
So I would like to ask Harshad sir and Dubey sir, what are their views? Whatever I said.
Okay.
I hope you have listened to it.
I think Pradeep ji wants to say something. Dr. Pradeep Verma.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I have some observations to share. Am I audible? Am I audible, sir?
I think your audio is again, there is a problem in audio. I hope others are seeing it too, or is it only me? I don't know.
Sir, it is, his voice is coming clear. Vermaji's voice is coming very clear, sir. There is no problem
Yes.
directly.
Okay.
I think so.
Yes, voice is clear. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mm.
Today's topic is definitely very interesting again, seeing the danger of conditioning. All the three words are very important. I have certain observations. Seeing is the first and the last, because seeing includes everything. It includes everything. Danger must have been perceived by life long before it became a word. So seeing is natural to life, because life continues after undergoing and facing all sorts of challenges during its long journey of thousands of years. See, man could survive because of, I believe, a rapt attention which must have been there inborn in him or her. Or rather, we can say, attentive could survive and flourish. JK talks about seeing holistically. All the senses in harmony, which man has lost because of eccentric growth of mind and different senses responding differently to self-created virtual world around us, around everyone. So what now? Continuance of belief system, especially in the realm of so-called religion, must be looked into rather openly, without any influences. In the present world of highly unequal distribution of money and resources, nobody could and can ensure the basic security of food, shelter, and clothing. The first disbalancing factor, factorizing the society, the first factor. Then these somatic biological conditions created first major psychological shock to enslaved society already conditioned. Here is the birth of belief system. It is a mind game, mind that exploited, created a conceptual treasure conditionally available to all, especially the have-nots, Daridra Narayana, and many more. This blended well with karmic theory and the unknown destiny. We all are something like Waiting for a Godot, a play by Samuel Beckett. Blind faith and belief system are surviving on memes, not so much on genes. Memes travel from mind to mind. The so-called religious placebos, I will call placebos, were used long back in society. Placebo effect was seen much later in medical sciences. Faith healing is common in most of the tribal societies. Can we see our conditionings even now? If yes, then the entire burden is out immediately. All of us live in limitedness. This, while I was listening to today's speech or today's discourse, all of us that we are in limited, all of us are all of us live in limitedness. Reviewing past, there was some discussion how you can say I am conditioned. I am. You see, reviewing past and its continuity in present can see his, her conditioning. But I am conditioned. You see, when I put an I in between, then things become very different. The doer comes in between that I. Our conditioning is a very big spectrum. You see, we talk of entirety. Entirety can be washed off. Our conditioning is a very big spectrum. We can't throw away baby with the bathtub. You see, in perception is action. When we say perception is action, there is no I. This is how I have understood. Perception is action. There is no I. That is what he was referring to when talking about non-positive action. Non-action is intelligence. So ultimately, it can be seen that I, this limitedness or very limited, whatever it is, that creates the entire problem and creates actor with different masks. We all have masks. We are masked without any security, beautifully, without any security. So this is all what I wanted to share. Thank you very much for giving me time, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Verma sir. Mr. Rama Rao, you wanted to say something?
Sir, the fact is that every manifestation is come into the picture with some conditioning. That it is a fact. And after some time, this conditioning, it is becoming, it is a natural phenomena of means activity. And what Krishnamurti says, it's a very simple, just watch the condition as a fact, But it seems to me that keeping watching, attention, awareness, it is not always it is happening. That is the problem. I got it over.
May I say something?
Okay. Yes, please.
Okay. When many years ago, thousands of years ago, human beings lived with instinct for survival. But then later on, with the development of language and mathematics and all that, we have come to intellect, from instinct to intellect. And this intellect, there is a higher dimension than intellect is what we call intelligence, or seeing things clearly, see the essence of anything. So that intelligence is lacking in human beings. And so even though we know that these conditionings are very dangerous, we can intellectually see it, but there is no freedom from this conditioning. Even a thing like smoking, a person who smokes knows that smoking is a danger for the body, but a person continues because it is a habit. Same way with drinking, and even same thing with anger. When we really feel that anger is very damaging to our own body and mind, when we see it, then there is freedom. So when we really see the danger of this conditioning, and that seeing is the freedom, or intelligence, and that has not come because we have not gone very deep into watching the birth of all this thinking and feeling. So only like a question like, who am I? Such a question becomes very, very important. The ultimate question, what is this thing which wants to change? And then when the mind really stops, and then there is a feeling of a different dimension, which is not thinking and feeling, but a silence, a silent awareness. As long as that is not happened in our life, then even though we know that everything is dangerous, we will continue with it. We can fight, but it will create more conflict. To be free from conditioning, from any problem, it creates more problem. So intellect is not sufficient to be free from this conditioning. A higher dimension, which human beings are possible for human being to come to that intelligence. And that is what Krishnamurti was trying to do by giving these talks, that was trying to awaken a different dimension than thinking and feeling. But if we get just caught into the words and explanation of what Krishnamurti is saying, then that is intellectual and it doesn't solve the problem. Okay, I have said enough. Thank you.
May I talk, sir?
Yeah, you can.
Good evening to all. I wanted to talk about one point, which is choice. Krishnaji was mentioning in the video that choice is an outcome of our conditioning. Whereas in real life, we feel we are free when we have a choice. And when we don't have choice, we feel that we don't have the freedom at all. And there again, suppose an occasion is there and where you have 10 different choices available to you, why do you choose one particular choice, leaving all other things? Is it not because of your conditioning? Is it not because of your culture, your education, your family background, the place where you are living? All these things influence you. So you select that particular choice, which you think you like it. You say, I like it. And others, you say, I don't like it. So the liking and not liking is choice. So when the choice is there, that means conditioning is there. That's the reason why Krishnaji was emphasizing on in this psychological journey to have this choiceless awareness. So that is one thing. And we normally don't realize that we are conditioned. And as Harshadji was telling in the beginning, in fact, there is an inbuilt conditioning in the human system right from the birth onwards, because the human brain has evolved over millions of years, and it is not your brain or my brain, it is a human brain. And it has got a lot of accumulation in that because of various experiences that the brain has gone through. And with that conditioning, we are born. But unfortunately, we are not aware of that. So Krishnaji is pointing out this important aspect. And in fact, his first talk in 1929, when he said he wanted a man to be absolutely and unconditionally free. Absolutely and unconditionally free. So he has given a lot of emphasis on this aspect of conditioning. And in fact, in the video also, in the end of the video, he was telling very clearly, when you realize that you are conditioned, not because somebody told you, but you know it by yourself, and also any action on your part to uncondition yourself is not the right action. In fact, it will strengthen it, because the entity which is trying to uncondition is already conditioned. So he is talking about a perception, a seeing. That seeing alone can help you to get rid of the condition. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Dakshina Murthy. Yes, Prasad Garu.
Sir, this conditioning, he wants us to be unconditionally free. Free from what? Free from conditioning. And what is this conditioning? Conditioning is at various levels. Firstly, your body itself conditions you. He has said this at some places. You are short, I am tall. You are dark, I am white. All these things, they condition your perceptions. If you are a tall person, you have a type of perception. If you are short, a different type of perception. And we are all prisoners of our own bodies. That is, the body itself conditions you. That is number one. Then, of course, various types of influences, like where you are born. If you are born into a rich family, that is one type of conditioning. You are born into a poor family, that is also. Your language, your profession. Supposing you are a lawyer, we have one type of conditioning. If you are a doctor or a smith or a carpenter or whatever, all these things condition you. But the problem is we are not aware of these influences, these conditionings. A man and a woman have different conditionings. We are not aware of these things. Unless somebody points out, yes, then we may realize possibly there is something in it. But that is why he said, if are you becoming aware because I am pointing out, or you are realizing it yourself? Do you realize yourself that you are conditioned? And we are mostly proud of our conditioning. We are not only not aware of it, we are actually proud of it. I'm an Indian. I'm a Britisher. We are all proud. These nationalistic pride, etc. So this pride also creates conflict, ultimately. A Pakistani is very proud of his country. We are also proud of our country. And these two prides come into a conflict at some stage. So we are not aware of our conditioning. And when you become aware, let us say, how do you get out of it? There is no action which can remove or curtail this conditioning. Only like at any other, always, Krishnaji kind of resorts to awareness. Choiceless awareness is the only remedy or something like that. There is no other action which can remove that, the binding nature of conditioning. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Prasad Garu. Yes, Mr. Arun Partha.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. So actually, I had one question. Like, see, basically, I understood what Krishna ji mentions about this conditioning and all, but in a day-to-day activity, no, I never carry myself as saying an Indian and all that. Like, so mostly how I behave is based on my conscience. That guides my behavior, which says that what is morally right or wrong. Okay. So is this a part of conditioning or some other thing? Is it like an intelligence in operation? That is one question. And sometimes if you look at it, suppose you say conditioning can't be always termed as bad also or good or whatever it is. We can't term it like that because see, I've been born in a Brahmin family. There have been good factors also which have been helpful where see, for example, I don't eat meat. It has been there right from the beginning. So some things have been already handed over to me like because of my background. So if you look at it, why I should go through the entire chain of understanding certain aspects when it is already put to you on a platter when you are born itself. So if you look at it, what does consciousness, which guides us, is it a part of conditioning or intelligence? That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Arunji. I think morality and immoral or good and bad, they're all part of our conditioning. You know, just to give you one example, for example, eating meat. If you're brought up in a Brahminical culture, then, you know, you have a natural tendency that people who are eating meat are not, they should not be touched or it's a bad habit. But there are cultures where eating meat is just like any other food. Similarly, there are societies where, you know, consenting adults can have relationship out of marriage. And it's quite normal, but there are societies where it's treated to be immoral. So I think conscience is something which is totally dependent on your conditioning. That's the way I look at it. I think others can also respond to it. We can go to Dinesh Waghmare and then to Mr. Pradeep Verma. Yes, Dinesh ji.
That question already has been answered by you, sir, in a very well manner. So I would not like to touch it. But I would like to put forward one more question. Whether conditioning is a problem, real problem, or the psychological traits and parameters, inclination, etc. are the problem, or the intention of a person is the problem. Because suppose I like I know dahi vada, you also know dahi vada. I like dahi vada and you don't like dahi vada. So these inclinations make difference. So today there was a question of choice. So we have to see whether conditioning is just like a coat worn by a person and
Not
or what?
Yeah.
Are you able to listen to me?
Yeah, now yes.
Yeah. So we have to see whether real culprit is psychological traits, parameters, inclination, etc., and intentions of a person, or the conditionings. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Dr. Pradeep Verma.
Yes, sir. Audible, please. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. One more observation which comes very frequently after every discussion almost to me. We very conveniently divide instinct, intellect, and intelligence as if one above the other. You see, one above the other, as if there is a ladder, and at the high point there is intelligence, then intellect, and then instinct. How do we know that instincts are not working in me right now, even now? Now I am seeing and listening, but I don't know which one is working in me. The second person or the so-called third person can see that, look, Pradeep, this is part of intellect, and this is part of instinct, and this is part of. So where is the fragmentation? Where is the fragmentation? Waghmare, just Dinesh talked about intention. I feel intention also has a background. You see, it is not without background that intention becomes this or that. This is what I feel. So we have to go deeper and deeper in ourselves, because these words, by simply using different words, doesn't, in fact, it makes it difficult to understand life. The more words we use, the more confused we are. The more words we are using to deliver something, it means I am still very much confused. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pradeep.
May I say something?
Yes, please.
So about what Pradeep ji said about intellect and intelligence, I feel that intellect tries to justify what it loves to do, and it condemns which it doesn't like to do. So intellect is like a mind of a lawyer. A lawyer can prove the right thing as wrong and wrong thing as right, depending on the money the person gets and what the lawyer is supposed to do. So innocent person, a person who is criminal and wants to prove that he is innocent, the lawyer will use intellect to prove that in the court. So that is what intellect is. And that intellect, in a way, it is good. Scientists are using intellect to invent something new, which is very, very helpful. But intelligence is something different. And only when such a thing comes in our life, then we know that there is a different way of looking, not through knowledge. When you look at a tree or any human being, that previous knowledge does not interfere. And when you really see the beauty of it, then you know that this is something different than the way you had lived before. So it is like before you used to get very angry when somebody said something unpleasant, and then you begin to look within yourself, and then you come to a state when you just listen, whether the person says something pleasant or unpleasant, you just see it clearly, whether it is true or false. And you don't become very happy when somebody is praising you, and you don't become very agitated when somebody is criticizing you. When such a thing happens in your life, and when you are just listening, and then you are seeing the essence of it, whether it is true or false, then we can avoid a lot of conflict in relationship. And because that element of real listening to the essence behind the words is not there, then even Krishnamurti can become a very intellectual affair, and one can go on discussing Krishnamurti. So the real thing is looking inward, and when the mind becomes very silent and very clear, then if that person will feel that there is something new has happened, but that person will not be able to convince other people. And so only this is a subjective experience. And when it happens, then you really begin to enjoy whatever you do. And you look at a flower or a tree or a human being, you don't feel lonely or bored or tired, and you feel a lot of energy. So that is the indication that intelligence has come in your life. Otherwise, talking and getting tired, that is a sign of intellect, trying to justify one's own view and not seeing the essence behind the words. So Krishnamurti is pointing out the essence But if we just get caught into the words and explanation, then it becomes very intellectual. Okay, I have finished. Thank you.
Can I say something
Thank you,
here?
Harshad. Thank you. Thank you, Harshad bhai. Thank you. Let me say something before you take over, Dinesh ji. I think, Pradeep ji, if you permit me, I don't know if there is a hierarchy between instinct, intellect and intelligence, but instinct is something that we have borrowed or it has come to us from the animals. You know, our evolution, because even a small child which has no intelligence or no memory also reacts to something which is dangerous to him or her. For example, if there is a loud sound, the child closes its eyes or, you know, makes movement. Or if you take a finger very close to the child's eye, it closes it. So those are instincts. And intellect, in a layman's language, if I can do that, it's a clever use of the mind, clever use of thought. And Krishna used to say that there is no intelligence without compassion. So these are right broad differences. I don't know which is above the other one. That is for somebody else to decide. And before we go to Dinesh ji, let's hear what Anand ji is saying. Then we'll go to Dinesh Waghmare. Yes, Anand ji, please.
Yes, sir. So my question is, why is that I am talking about conditioning and I say I don't want it, or why I want it? Can I observe that is the question? My conditioning gives me security. My nationality gives me security. My family gives me security. My institutions give me security. Can I see that? My conditioning gives me security. Now here I come and say that, I need to look at it. I need to drop it. I need to be aware of it. I may justify, I've rationalized, I may intellectualize it, but again, it's by conditioning. I may say this is good, this is bad. Again, it's by conditioning. I'm asking, sir. Am I really very serious about this? That is very essential. Am I serious in my life to know what it is? That it is causing harm. It is causing destruction. It is destroying the planet. Can I really? Am I really serious to see this and then find out? If I'm not, it's just an intellectual stimulation week after week. That's all there is. Whether it is conditioned or not, how does it help my life? That is what I'm interested in. Most of us are interested in that. Is it going to help me? Then I'll do something about it. Otherwise, no. Look at my condition. There also my condition plays a role. Now, again, like even for some examples where again was smoking and drinking. See, if I really know, within quotes, I'm saying no. I smoke, I drink, but I know that I'm not going to die tomorrow. If I come out of the house, I may get killed on the road, but I said nothing is going to happen to me. So therefore I go out, therefore I drink, I smoke. But the moment there is a perception of it, the danger, the real danger, I'm sure I should be an idiot to say, I'll continue to smoke. I say I know. Cases to know it's not to know. You don't know about it. You just use the word I know. That's all there is. So I am saying, sir, am I really very serious to listen to what is being said about conditioning? No, that gives me security. That is making me live life. Without that, I'm insecure. It is so extremely difficult to live in insecurity. I don't want to live in insecurity. Every second I want to live in security. So why will I say this, talk about conditioning? Why do I say I need to know what it is? The me and mind is, no, it's so very important. So as long as me and mind is there, it's a part of the conditioning. So what am I without it is what I need to look at it, sir. That's about all. Thank you.
Thank you, Anandji. Yes, Shakti ji wants to say something. Yes, Shakti ji, please go ahead.
This is reaching, sir.
Yeah.
Since people
Yes,
have
I
asked
can.
questions, they have spoken 2-3 times, so you can go ahead and then we'll come back.
Yeah. My voice is reaching, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I just wanted to say that, these dialogues and these videos
In a way, they are very helpful. For example, today I have heard when Krishnamurti is saying that acting upon conditioning is unintelligent, and watching is important. Watching is an intelligent action. So this remains at intellectual level, and one listens to it again, and then there is something learning anew. It's not, learning is not the right word. So these meetings have a role in a person's journey, I think. And I feel that instinct, intellect, and intelligence, when they are in the darkness of unawareness, they work differently. And maybe in the light of awareness, they might have a different function altogether. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Shakti. Yes, Mr. Dinesh Waghmare.
Are you able to listen to me, sir?
Yeah.
Voice is clear? In
Yes,
response
we can.
to Anand ji, Verma ji, and Shakti ji, first of all, I would like to say that Anand ji is very correct. I also feel in the same way that conditioning is because we want our security, so conditioning is there. And unless there is something which is beyond this thing, security, I get the benefit or I get any advantage, I would not leave the conditioning, and I don't see the danger of conditioning. This is what a position of a or standpoint of view of a normal person. Number two, in response to Verma ji, I would like to say that in human system, there is no hierarchy. These all are like instruments. Intellect is the instrument, feelings is the instrument, emotions is the instrument, senses is the instrument. And in our tradition, they have clearly said very beautifully that when you in a control of your senses, then you become Indra. When you become the control of your all these instruments, then you become the Ganpati. Means all there are guns are there, and then you become the Ganpati. So that becomes, then you become the intelligent in the Krishnamurti's vocabulary or Krishnamurti's way of speaking. So these are the things, and we have to see this all these points. And unless there is a prime mover in your human system, which is beyond this, which is there is a dimension which is beyond this. When we say liveness, what is that liveness is? When we say a person is live or a person is dead, what is that liveness? So that we have to see, and we have to also focus on that. That's what I feel. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we have come to the close of the session. So if you all permit me, I would like to close it now. The session is supposed to be up to 7:30. So can we take the questions for the next session now? And I want to announce that next Sunday at 6 p.m. we'll have Dr. Gopal Krishnamurthy. He'll be speaking to us. He would like to discuss something of what he did in the last lecture. So in case people have questions or any comments to make on his last question, I have already circulated the video along with the notice. So if you have anything, please do come prepared to ask from him. And then he'll take up the new topic, which is again basically on learning and education. So thank you all. Thanks a lot. Harshad bhai, we'll keep it for next session now. Yeah. Thank you. Good night.
Okay. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Please close it.